He was supposed to marry the love of his life today. Instead, on his way to the wedding, he captured 5 enemy kings by chance.
This was to have been my wedding day, Father.
Faced with a village ravaged by war and the furious stares of his people, he made a decision that would upend an entire kingdom. He chose to release the captured enemy rulers, a move that branded him a traitor. Within hours, that same choice forced him to take up his sword and kill his own fiancé's father with his own hands. The year was 1080 in Spain, a land torn apart by faith and war. Half belonged to the Christians, the other half to the Moors, and across the strait in Africa, an even more terrifying enemy was gathering. Ben Yusuf, the African warlord, despised the Moors of Spain for their moderation and civilization. He scorned them as poets, musicians, and scientists who had forgotten the glory of battle. He ordered them to burn their books, to turn their poets into warriors, and their scholars into inventors of war machines.
And then, kill!
His ambition was nothing less than the world, and his first step was to conquer the fractured kingdoms of Spain.
First, across Spain. Then, the whole world.
In Spain, Christians displaced by Moorish raids could only pray to God for a savior, and it seemed their prayers had been answered. Rodrigo Diaz de Vivar, a young nobleman, was on his way to his wedding when he stumbled upon Moors pillaging a village. He led his men into battle and captured 5 of their chiefs.
How is it you came here, my son?
I thought this would be the shortest road to my bride.
The villagers and nobles demanded the infidels be hanged at once, but one chief's words gave him pause.
I have no great desire to live to see what is coming for all of us.
What is coming for all of us?
Wars, death, and destruction. Blood and fire, more terrible than has ever been seen by living man.
Rodrigo realized that vengeance would only breed endless hatred and destruction. Garcia Ordóñez, the king's envoy, warned him. Refusing to hand over the prisoners was an act of treason. But Rodrigo's mind was made up. He demanded the Moorish chiefs swear an oath never to invade the king's lands again. Mudamin, their leader, was moved by Rodrigo's mercy and vision.
Do you solemnly pledge never again to attack King Ferdinand's country?
I do.
He told Rodrigo that among his people, such a great warrior was addressed by a special title. El Cid, meaning the Holy Lord, was the legendary name first used. Yet behind the honor lay a deadly accusation. What Rodrigo is about to step onto is not the red carpet leading to the bride, but the road to the judgment of fate.
Within 7 days, you will appear before the king at Burgos to answer these charges.
At the same time, his fiancée, Ximena, is immersed in the sweetness and anxiety of love. She had no idea of the coming storm and thought that happiness would really come. But ominous news soon arrived. The jealous probing of Princess Urraca left Ximena uneasy, her joy turning to dread. She revealed Rodrigo's crimes to Ximena in the cruelest way possible. Soon after, Count Gormaz, Ximena's father, entered her chamber. Unable to accept his demands, Ximena fled to Garcia Ordóñez. Garcia Ordóñez, who had always been jealous of Rodrigo, took the opportunity to make trouble. He told Ximena himself that Rodrigo was a traitor, and that he was the one who had accused him. Garcia even confessed his own love for Ximena, but she rejected him outright. She believed in Rodrigo's innocence, yet her father could not tolerate any act that threatened the kingdom's stability. In the king's court, Count Gormaz, the king's champion, publicly branded Rodrigo a traitor. This was not just an accusation against Rodrigo, it was a trampling of his family's honor. Don Diego, Rodrigo's aging father, stepped forward and accused the king's champion of lying. Count Gormaz, as the king's warrior, refused to fight an old man, but he could not bear being called a liar. He slapped the old man in the face in public, which was the ultimate humiliation for a nobleman. The honor of the Diego family was shattered in an instant. As his son, Rodrigo had no choice. He had to challenge Count Gormaz to a duel, washing away his father's shame with blood, even if his opponent was the father of the woman he loved. He begged the Count for an apology, pleading that even a single "forgive me" could avert this tragedy. But Count Gormaz proudly refused. He even mocked Rodrigo, saying no one would think less of him for hesitating to challenge the king's champion. The words, though seemingly generous, were a final crushing blow to Rodrigo's courage. Honor stood above love, above life. The sword flashed, and the king's champion fell in a pool of blood.
Don't let me die. Unavenged. Unavenged.
Rodrigo had reclaimed his family's honor, but he had lost his beloved's heart forever. Love and hatred had swapped places in a single night. Rodrigo agonized over his lack of choice, but Ximenes, too, was bound by the duty of vengeance. Two people in love had been forced onto a path of no return by fate. Ximenes swore that one day she would learn to hate Rodrigo. Meanwhile, the kingdom faced a new crisis. The King of Aragon arrived to provoke them, demanding a duel between champions to decide the fate of Calahorra. With King Ferdinand's champion freshly slain, the challenge was a blatant exploitation of their weakness. In this moment of peril, Rodrigo stepped forward. He declared that since he had killed the former champion, he was the most qualified to take his place. He would accept this duel as God's judgment to prove his innocence.
Let me now offer myself before the highest judge. If I'm guilty, God will direct Don Martin's lance to my heart. If I'm innocent, let him be my shield.
On the dueling grounds, the most heartbreaking scene unfolded.
Why have you come to this place at this hour?
We have come to do battle for the city of Calahorra.
Will you fight to the death, giving no quarter and receiving none?
We will.
Go then, and fight for Calahorra.
Ximenes gave her black ribbon to Rodrigo's opponent, declaring that its color would remain black until her enemy was dead. Meanwhile, Princess Urraca presented her own ribbon to Rodrigo. A duel that would decide the fate of a nation had become a battleground for two women's love and jealousy. The fight was brutal. Rodrigo faced a seasoned warrior.
First charge! Rodrigo's held!
But with unshakable resolve and unmatched skill, he emerged victorious. Not only did he save the city for the country, he also cleared the charge of treason and officially became the king's new chief warrior. Yet, when he approached Ximenes, hoping to end their suffering, he was met with icy indifference.
Your colors are no longer black.
Until my father is avenged, my colors will be deepest black.
In her pain, Ximenes even agreed to Garcia Ordonez's terms. If he killed Rodrigo, she would marry him. Rodrigo was sent by the king to collect tribute from the Moors, with Ordonez accompanying him. Before leaving, Rodrigo made a request to the king. Since he had killed Ximenes' father by law, he was obligated to care for her. He asked that if he returned triumphant, Ximenes be given to him in marriage. The king agreed, hoping this would finally put an end to their feud. During the journey, Ordonez betrayed Rodrigo, setting an ambush. At the critical moment, Mutamin, the Moorish chieftain Rodrigo had once saved, arrived just in time to rescue him. Betrayed by his own people, yet saved by the Moors, it was a bitter irony. Ordonez was captured, and with his dying breath, he revealed his conspiracy with Ximenes. Yet Rodrigo chose mercy once more, sparing Ordonez's life, unwilling to stain his wedding with more blood.
I want no more blood in my marriage.
Under the king's command, Rodrigo and Ximenes' wedding proceeded as planned, destined to be the most agonizing wedding in the world. On their wedding night, Ximenes confessed her plot to have Rodrigo killed. Rodrigo revealed that he had already known the truth. He had hoped that marriage would end the hatred, but Ximenes gave the final answer. Ximenes said that marrying him was her final way of avenging her father. She can fulfill her wifely duties, but will never give Rodrigo love.
It is true that if you want me, it is your right as my husband to take me, but you will never get a woman's love from me.
Perhaps they had wounded each other too deeply. The next day, Ximenes returned to the convent, seeking peace within herself. Soon after, the old king passed away, and the kingdom fractured. He had divided his lands among his 3 children, the eldest son, Sancho, the second son, Alfonso, and Princess Urraca. Sancho, as the eldest, refused to accept this division. He wanted the entire kingdom. Alfonso then took out the dagger behind him and attacked his brother. He said that since Sancho was not satisfied with the decision, then Sancho didn't want anything. The two quickly grappled, but Alfonso was no match for Sancho. Sancho accused Alfonso of being too close to Urraca, but Alfonso furiously denied it. Just then, Urraca spoke up, stopping Sancho in his tracks, and so the civil war between brothers erupted. Sancho imprisoned Alfonso, and the brothers became bitter enemies. True to his oath, Rodrigo single-handedly rescued the prince from the guards. Meanwhile, Ben Yusuf, learning of Spain's internal strife, saw his opportunity. He plotted a scheme to use the Christians' own hands to eliminate one of their kings. Sancho led his army to besiege Princess Urraca's castle and forced her to hand over Alfonso.
Release the prisoner at once or my army will attack.
This is my city. You do not demand.
I give you until dawn to decide.
Desperate, Urraca turned to Rodrigo for help, but he declared his loyalty to Sancho. Alfonso and Urraca were stunned by his words. Soon, Sancho's forces surrounded Calahorra, Urraca's stronghold. But just as the siege began, a traitor struck Sancho down from behind. Rodrigo witnessed the act, executed the traitor on the spot, and rushed to Sancho's side.
Rodrigo. My poor Sancho.
Sancho was dead. After Sancho's death, Alfonso naturally became the sole king, but the suspicion of fratricide hung over him. Urraca sought out Ximene, urging her to persuade Rodrigo to drop his investigation. At Alfonso's coronation, every noble knelt, except Rodrigo, who stood like a rock. He asked Alfonso to swear on the Bible to prove that he had nothing to do with his brother's death. It was an unprecedented challenge to royal authority. Forced to comply, Alfonso swore the oath under the weight of public scrutiny. But Rodrigo was not finished. He made Alfonso utter the most terrible curse. If he lied, he would die by a traitor's hand, just as his brother had. The king's dignity was utterly shattered. Rodrigo had upheld justice for the kingdom, but in doing so, he earned the king's wrath. He was sentenced to lifelong exile, his property confiscated. No one was to aid him, on pain of death. On his exile, he shared his last water with a leper, dying of thirst. The leper recognized Rodrigo, because only the Holy Lord dares to humiliate the king and is willing to share the water of life with the dying. At his lowest moment, Ximene found him. After her painful struggle, her love for Rodrigo had transcended hatred. They spent a fleeting but blissful time together in a barn, as if the world had faded away, leaving only each other. But Rodrigo's knights found him. They had abandoned their homes to follow their true leader. They begged him to fight for Spain once more. He bid farewell to Ximene, promising they would reunite. Meanwhile, King Alfonso suffered crushing defeats at the hands of Ben Yusuf's army. Rodrigo arrived with his Moorish forces to aid him, only to be rejected by the narrow-minded king. After his defeat, Alfonso, furious and humiliated, blamed Rodrigo and ordered Ximene and their daughter imprisoned. The king planned to force Rodrigo, who was besieging the strategic city of Valencia, to return to rescue, thus making Rodrigo fall into the trap. Rodrigo was caught between impossible choices. At that moment, a message arrived from Ximene in her prison cell. She declared she would rather die with their child than let Rodrigo abandon all of Spain for their sake. Deeply moved, Rodrigo did not turn back his army.
Doña, we must attack tonight.
Instead, he captured Valencia in an unexpected way, not with swords, but with bread.
We bring you freedom. We bring you life. We bring you bread.
He hurled food to the starving citizens inside the city, instantly breaking the defenders' will. The people opened the gates and hailed him as the king of Valencia. But Rodrigo's next act stunned everyone. He offered this crown to Alfonso, the very king who had exiled him and imprisoned his wife and child. Faced with this selfless loyalty, Alfonso was utterly defeated. He realized he was nothing more than a king in name alone. Rodrigo was the true soul of Spain. Ben Yusuf's massive army loomed at the gates, and the final battle was about to begin. In the first assault, Rodrigo was struck in the chest by a hidden arrow.
We attack again tomorrow.
You will need time to recover your strength.
Must be tomorrow. The enemy will only grow stronger, while we grow weaker.
The doctors said that if the arrow were removed, he might live, but he would be unable to fight. If it remained, he would surely die, but he could hold on until dawn.
They have made me their heart.
But their heart is wounded. Someone else will lead them. My love would not let you die. I want more. I want forever.
I promise you, tomorrow morning, I will ride with you.
Rodrigo made his final choice. He would trade his life for one last victory. He made Ximenes swear that whether he lived or died, he would stand at the forefront of the army the next day. When news spread that El Cid had died, panic erupted among the troops inside the city, while the enemy outside rejoiced. Just as despair threatened to consume them, King Alfonso arrived with reinforcements. He knelt at Rodrigo's bedside begging for forgiveness, but Rodrigo struggled to stop him. With a contented heart, Rodrigo closed his eyes. Spain finally had a great king. At dawn the next day, the gates of Valencia slowly opened. An unbelievable sight met everyone's eyes. El Cid, clad in armor and gripping his sword, sat astride his warhorse like an immortal god of war. His body was held upright by a frame, his gaze forever fixed on the battlefield ahead. King Alfonso followed behind him. When the soldiers saw their commander appear, their morale soared to unprecedented heights. Ben Yusuf's army, terrified and thrown into chaos, crumbled in disarray. Thus, a fallen hero won the greatest victory of his life. He rode through the gates of history and into the realm of legend.